everyone, and welcome to another edition of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling video podcast here on YouTube. Of course, I am currently working on other facets and other ways of trying to grow the audience, everything in that sense. And we'll get more into that at a different time. But this time around, I just kind of want to get into everything. This is going to be focusing around GFW Impact Wrestling on July 20th, 2017. And you know what, to be honest with you, I really didn't... outside of a couple different things, I didn't really care for the show all that much. I did think there was a couple of decent stuff going on, and good storyline time, especially with LAX and Alberto El Patron at this point in time. But let's go ahead and get it right from the get-go. You had Sammy Guevara. I am butchering that name so badly. This is a Super X Cup match, going up against Drago, and to be honest with you, the other two Super X Cup matches I thought were a lot better, and I know Drago is really good in the ring. One thing I noticed in this match, because I saw Sammy inside, watching Sammy inside the ring, he's very athletic, everything in that sense. The one thing that he lacked was proper setup or proper psychology for his moves. He did a like early on in the match, a standing, or he got up to the top rope after kicking Drago and did a shooting star press. But Drago had to move way, like he got kicked one direction, then was forced to move back so he could do the shooting star press, and it looked like Drago was just sitting there waiting for the move in that sense. So it was just something like that. The match itself was fine. It was okay. Like I said, you got some good athleticism in there, but it felt like there was a lack of setup towards the maneuvers inside of this match, and that was the one downside. And I know, like I've seen Drago do a lot of matches in Lucha Underground far better than this in any way. So this was kind of a letdown, especially in the way that we've been getting with the Super X Cup matches over the last couple of weeks. It was a little bit of a letdown. So up next was Siena going up against Amber Nova. This was a squash match. Nothing really to the match itself. It was just to show the dominance of Siena. Siena comes out to cut, afterwards, cuts a promo, basically calling out Karen Jarrett for not congratulating her on winning the match at Slammiversary. She calls her out, which Karen does eventually come out. She and then Siena is like, you need to get, I'm not going to accept like a congratulations or anything like that. You're going to need to get on your knees and basically beg me or something in that sense. And as Siena was kind of getting in the face of Karen, Allie comes out, which she is immediately followed by Laurel Van Ness. So Allie goes after Siena, gets a couple kendo stick shots, and Laurel Van Ness takes her out. Rosemary comes in to make the save. Which didn't prompt anything, but eventually they got the control over Rosemary, which prompted Gail Kim to come out, and she clears the ring of everybody. And I think Karen Jarrett tries to pull Siena off of Rosemary at one point too, but Gail Kim ends out coming out. It was kind of a convoluted everything to get to this point, and at the end, Karen Jarrett makes a match for next week with Siena and Rosemary in a last knockout standing match. So we kind of get like a convoluted everything to get to what should be a really good match next week. At least I think it will be for the actual show, for that show. So up next, actually, I'm going to talk about both of these segments here before we get on to the main event of the show. And everything. And I actually like these segments. So LAX not happy that Alberto El Patron didn't want to join them last week, and they basically have two Clubhouse segments where they both threaten El Patron's brother and his father to try to get him into LAX, like threaten him with violence, everything in that sense. I thought the promos were pretty good, everything in that sense. I thought those were really good segments of the show, and it came off rather well. I actually did enjoy those ones in the terms of setting up their story for later in the evening. After this, though, after the first one, because I went through both of those segments beforehand, after this one, after the first segment from the Clubhouse, you had Bruce Pritchard walking backstage, and he runs into Trevor Lee, and they start talking about why he has the X Division title, everything in that sense. Sanjay Dutt comes in there. He's trying to get to Trevor Lee so he can get his title back. Bruce Pritchard has him pulled away and thrown out of the building again. So he's thrown out of the building, everything in that sense. And Bruce Pritchard, you know, the guy who's in charge, who could easily say, Trevor Lee, that's not your title, you should give it back to him. He's like, whatever. Deal with it you guys' own ways. And just walks off. Like, it seems like Bruce Pritchard is quickly becoming like a guy who just doesn't care about anything. In any sense of the fashion, and is kind of annoyed by not just like the faces or the heels, but just annoyed by everybody in general while he's out there. Up next, we had 6, and we'll actually see that a little bit later in the show as well. That he's kind of just annoyed by everybody. He has up next we have Adonis Abraham Dumas and Trevor Lee. Going up against, it's a 6-man tag, by the way. Going up against Laredo Kid, Garza Jr. and Octagon Cito and we saw the Demos and Octagon Cito from the week before. I'm probably mispronouncing those names as well. I'm so bad with names, and I'll keep saying that. And of course, and they also, and I like how they make mention this on commentary, that they're running off of Lucha Libre rules off this one. So for Lucha Libre rules in a 6-man tag, if you get thrown out of the ring for any way, shape, or form, if you don't make a tag, your tag partner can come in, as long as you get thrown out of the ring. So I kind of like the aspect that they made mention to that beforehand, because that was kind of what was going on in this match as well. And you did see that from time to time. And I like the fact that they at least made mention to that going through everything. Trevor Lee's still doing the belt thing, where he wears the belt throughout the entire match. He even takes it off at one point to hoist it up, and then tags out so he can put it back on. Not a bad match from this one, but again, nothing really to it. They make mention to Sanjay Dutt being escorted out of the building, or thrown out of the building, for being a disruption and everything in that sense. This match, like I said, was decent enough. Good athleticism from all sides. Laredo Kid, Garza Jr., and Octagon Cinto win the match in the end, with Cinto, I think, pinning Dumas again. I think that's how that ended up going. But all in all, decent enough match. Up next, you had a couple. Up next, I'll talk a couple of segments in here. You have the whole thing with Joseph Park, Grado, trying to keep Grado inside of the United States. Everything in that sense. Yeah, they're still going with that, and they're using this with comedy and everything in that sense. I thought there was some decent stuff here. So apparently, Laurel Van Ness had said yes to a date with Grado, and it was very hilarious, because like Grado's making all the mistakes, but Laurel Van Ness is so out there that it doesn't matter, and she's just kind of digging being with him, and like doing the reverse roles of her kind of messing with his head in the entire thing as well, going through the entire day. Like they have bits where they have these big cheeseburgers, and she finishes it really quickly. And she does some weird stuff with like pepper, everything in that sense. I thought this was pretty decent stuff. They did continue the date a little bit later. I think they ended up laying down in a tennis court or something in that sense. It was pretty funny stuff. It was decent stuff here. I'm not a big fan of Grado, but the stuff that they're working with these film segments have been pretty good so far. At least that's how I feel. So, up next was Matt Sidell going up against Loki and Fantasma. I probably butchered that name too. They had, for Fantasma, I think that's proper. Fantasma, they had done a little promo package beforehand, just like they've been doing with the Super X Cup matches as well, and they did something for Drago and Sammy as well earlier in the show. They had built him up going into this match, and he showed off some really good stuff in this match. I thought this match was really good. You had this one really good spot, and I like that the referee caught this as well in the end. Fantasma went for a surfboard on Matt Sidell, but Loki was on the second rope. He was groggy and dazed and everything in that sense. He recognizes it and goes for the Warrior's Way. Hits the Warrior's Way on Matt Sidell. Matt Sidell falls down on Fantasma, and the referee catches that and actually starts making the count, which forces him to kick out. Overall, this was a really good match. I thought this was a really good match between all three guys. It ends with it looking like Loki was going to get the victory, but Matt Sidell hits the shooting star press on both guys and ends out pinning Loki in the end. Really good match. Afterwards, Matt Sidell playing the, being a good sport, everything in that sense, cuts a promo afterwards and basically is trying to get himself an X Division title match, which he calls out Bruce Pritchard. And this is the point that Bruce Pritchard's like, I'm kind of getting fed up with everybody kind of just demanding everything. So he's like getting very annoyed by everybody around him, which oddly enough prompts Lashley to come out. Like, it didn't really even seem like it seemed for any kind of sense in there. And of course Lashley comes out. It's like he wants his one-on-one fair shot against Alberto El Patron for the title, everything in that sense. And he said he was going to destroy everybody in his path before until he gets it. So what does he do? He goes to leave, and then he's like, you know what, I'm going to start right now, and spears Sidell. And I like how Sidell is like, wait a minute, I was coming out here asking for a title shot. Now you're doing it. And then everything in that sense. So up next, before we talk about the final segments of the show, was a fatal four-way match with Eddie Edwards, Eli Drake, EC3, and Moose. This is a good match. Really, it really just felt like it was thrown together, but I liked what they ended up doing here in this match. Like, they made it seem like it was EC3's mission to win this match, to try to get a grand championship shot at Moose. In every way, even to the point that it's like, okay, Eddie Edwards looks like he's gonna win, but then EC3 hits the 1%er, but Moose pulls him out, and Eli Drake comes in and sneaks in and gets the victory, which kind of like throws EC3 into not really a tangent, but like they go to him in like complete frustration in there. This was a good match. I'm not gonna lie, this was a good match as well. It did seem like it was kind of just like at first glance it seemed like it was thrown together, but like the story that they were telling with EC3 and everything in that sense in there, I thought came off really good to go along with everything, and it kind of helped out in the end. So right before they get to the main event segment of the night, they were going to do a thing with those guys from Soulmates again, another promo. As they're cutting it, LAX comes in, interrupts and say, hey, we've got something for you guys. And they go up to Alberto El Patron's father and brother and is like, what is his answer? What's his answer about joining LAX? Like, they had threatened them in the clubhouse to try to get Alberto El Patron to join LAX. And basically, his brother had no answer, but his dad was like, no, in that sense. Of everything. And of course LAX, not happy about hearing this, beats them both down. They cut to commercial. As they come back out, they are dragging El Patron's family to the ring, basically holding them hostage and wanting El Patron to come out and join by force, everything in that sense. And like El Patron comes out, kind of like he doesn't want to do it, but he makes a deal. It's like, let my family go and I'll join. But you'll never be my friend again. You're no longer Carlos or Conan. I like how he throws those little things out there about like the real names, everything in that sense. So he puts on the shirt to join LAX, though he's very reluctant about it, and then lays all of them out, with the exception of Diamante and Conan. They don't get hit with kendo sticks or anything in that sense. And eventually he just rips off the shirt. So it looked like he was trying to make a deal that, like, you leave my family alone, I'll join, everything in that sense. But then kind of goes back on that and then lays them all out, tears off the shirt, and that's how they go off the air. So overall, this week's episode of Impact was It was an alright episode. It was an okay episode. Some of the matches didn't really make any kind of sense. I was, like, the first match was okay. Everything else was actually a pretty good match, decent matches. And the story building that they did with Alberto El Patron, LAX, and like having his Alberto El Patron's family in there were pretty good ways of going off. The stuff that they're building, they built to the last women's knockouts match was a little bit convoluted, but you also see a bit where they're going to probably have Gail Kim going after the title at some point in time as well. But the setup for Siena and Rosemary, I feel like that's going to be a good match next week. It'll be an interesting one to see how they decide to go along with everything in there. So you had some good stuff in there. And now apparently you also have Bruce Pritchard not only being annoyed at like heels, but he's annoyed at the babyface. He's annoyed at everybody right now. At least that's how it comes off in some way, shape, or form. So overall, not a bad show this week. Some good matches in there. And some decent story building to go along with everything down the line here. So we'll see where everything goes and see how everything continues on next week with GFW. I'm going to keep this going for a little bit because there's like some news about how their contract situations work that I'm trying to see more articles about it and see if it's actually true. I'm going to continue on doing the Impact Wrestling reviews for the time being. I was thinking about not doing them for a little bit, but I think I'm going to continue on for now until I see some more articles about what's going on. And maybe I'll talk about that in like a little news thing or something like that here in the very near future and see where everything ends out going. So with that being said, everybody, that is another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle. I hope you guys enjoyed and have a great rest of your day.